Welcome to Reclaimed, the podcast, a sanctuary for women ready to stop surviving and really start thriving. I am Kyla Gagnon, breathwork facilitator, empowerment leader, and guide to bring you home to your feminine power. It is time you reclaim what is yours. In this space, we soften, we feel, we heal, we rise together. Sit back, relax. This is Reclaimed. Hello, sweet friends. Welcome back to the conversation. I have a really cool guest today. I have Christina Whiteley on the show. You might know Christina, you might not. Christina and I were friends in our 20s, like attached at the hip pretty much. And we had a falling out as early 20-year-olds do. And rather than acting from a place of grown, sovereign, grounded, regulated women, we both acted from a place of really unregulated 20-something-year-old girls. And we went about 20 years without connecting and have recently reconnected. And it just feels so sweet. And I am so happy to share this conversation with you. Christina is a born entrepreneur and a strong advocate for building businesses that align with purpose. As a freedom-driven mother, she has continually evolved her own business to reflect her values and beliefs, always striving to teach others how to achieve success and build impactful businesses while reducing work hours so that they can actually spend more time raising their children and being with their family. For several years, this is when I knew her, Christina successfully owned and operated a salon and on-site wedding business where she really enjoyed working with her clients. However, felt a deep desire to make a bigger impact and empower people in a more profound way. When her daughter was born, she embarked on a journey to become an expert in business strategy, online marketing, and leadership. Now, Christina's mission is to teach individuals how to find freedom and create their dream lifestyle by sharing creative, customized business strategies that allow them to work intentionally and to focus on their goals. Originally from Vancouver Island, Christina and her family currently reside in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Can't say I'm jealous, except I totally can. Her influence extends beyond her teaching platform as she actively shares valuable business building ideas and inspirations on podcasts, speaking engagements, and through social media. Her ultimate goal is to empower others to create multiple streams of income, which allow them to live outside a system designed to keep them broke and to pursue their passions and live a fulfilling life that inspires their children and makes them proud. Under her brand, Life Transformed, Christina runs an exclusive mastermind called the Six-Figure Profit Plan. This program assists entrepreneurs in building and breaking through the six-figure mark in their business while honing their skills, confidently presenting their brands, and implementing systems that generate income without leading to burnout. Her true passion lies in helping entrepreneurs live a life beyond the balance that most people seek, empowering them to make more money and build purpose-centered businesses that inspire and fulfill them while creating the freedom they deserve to live life on their terms. Yes, please. Welcome, Christina. Hi, Christina. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to see you.
It's so good to see you. I want to talk a little bit about, I want to share our fun little journey.
Sure.
First, I do want to ask you, because I will forget if I don't ask you now, but in the theme of the podcast, Reclaimed, what are you currently reclaiming?
Oof. Well, I have a 1-year-old baby at home. So I am currently reclaiming my power back in business.
Oh.
Yeah, because I have been focused on that for many, many, many years. And this last year, I was very intentional about taking time off and just doing the bare minimum, which is so not like me, so that I could be present raising my son, because I missed out on so much with my daughter. So I got a redo. And so now I'm reclaiming my power in business, and you can have it all.
Amazing. You can have it all. Okay, I want to talk about that later because that feels really, really important. I hear the dialogue so often of moms who are like, well, I can either be a mom or I can be successful in business. So I want to talk about that because I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
I just feel very excited about our story. So Christina and I met, God, how old were we? Like 22?
Yeah, in our early 20s. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we met in our early 20s. We became fast friends. I remember driving around in your little Miata. listening to, oh my God, there was a couple songs that we would listen to. And I actually pulled one up recently. Okay, so I remember listening to is it the Ting Tings? That's Not My Name.
Yes, I think so. I think so. God, I love that car.
So many good times ripping around in that car, listening to really loud music.
Yes, like
Yeah.
obnoxiously loud, by the way.
And I'm sure you didn't have a good system in there. Like it probably didn't sound great. It was probably just obnoxiously loud music.
Yeah, because I like to
Yeah.
feel my music. I don't know about you, but I
Yeah.
like to like feel it. Like it's
Yeah,
got to
me
be
too.
loud enough that it like vibrates through me.
Yeah. 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 It's probably why I love live music. So I love like
Mm-hmm.
going to festivals. Okay. And then, so we were fast friends. We spent a whole bunch of time together. We'd go to the clubs together. We had just like a really, really good time. And then we had a falling out, and it was dramatic because we were in our 20s. It was really dramatic. And then we didn't speak to each other for like 18 years.
Yeah, it sucked.
It did suck. It sucked a lot. It
Yeah.
sucked a lot. And then I dated someone whose brother you dated in Pel
Yes, yes,
River.
you did. Oh.
Yeah. And your name would come up, and I was like, because I was in such an inner resistance of, I love her. I want to love her. I'm so angry at whatever happened. And there was this, it's so clearly like my inner 20-year-old and my grown adult being like, hey, we can probably figure this out. But there was so much resistance. And then thank God for this work. And I'll let you speak on your side. This journey of self evolution and figuring out who I am as a grown woman and coming into my power and my agency and my sovereignty and my truth, and how I have been so human and have fucked up so many times and have hurt people so many times, to just have this awareness of like, oh yeah, we're all human and life is so short. And if I have any feelings towards this human, I really want to reach out. And I'd seen you having great success in your life, seemingly, as social media would show, and living this beautiful life in Mexico with your family and having success in your business. And I was like, fuck yeah, she's doing the things. And so I just felt to reach out, and you received my message so openly and so sweetly. And it felt like no time had passed. Like it almost was like,
Right, stop
yeah,
it.
it was like there. And yeah, I've ran a program in my business called Her, and it was all about connecting with our inner goddess, which to me is our just divine feminine power. And there's this journey that we go through where you meet this goddess. It's this guided meditation. It's really beautiful. You meet your goddess and you apologize for not listening. You apologize for not trusting her. And the answer that she gives back like 10 times out of 10 is there's no need to apologize. You're so loved. It's just okay. And that to me is the power of an anchored divine feminine. And that felt like the response. It felt very much like, oh, there's no need for an apology. It just felt really, really loving. And so I don't know what your experience was, but yes, I spent about 17 or 18 years having this inner resistance of like, I miss her, holding my ground. And I don't even remember. Like, I actually don't even remember.
I was thinking about that last night actually, and I was like, if we even talked about it, I don't have. It's like literally 20, almost 20 years ago, and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even think I could recount all of the things to make it accurate or anything. And what you said last night was such a huge relief. Like, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. We were different people back then, and when you reached out to me and you sent like the sweetest message, like my soul had been waiting for that message for 18 years, because I missed you too. And it was over a misunderstanding. And had we been able to have an adult conversation, which we couldn't, because like I wish, I beat myself up for many, many years about how I behaved as a teenager and or in my early 20s. And you don't have an adult head on your shoulders. You don't have experience. You don't have all of these things. And so, like, as you evolve into the woman that you are, there are these aha moments that you're just like, oh, I wish I could have done this or had this conversation, but I couldn't. And so let's just hold space. And it's funny because over the years, I've heard good things about you and I've seen things that you're doing. And I'm like, oh man, that's so amazing. But I didn't think that it would be well received. And I just was like, man, I'm so proud of her for everything that she's come through. And because I met you very shortly after you lost your mom. And like, I
Yeah.
can't even imagine losing that figure in my early years. I just can't. I have no context of that, and I'm not going to pretend that I understand. And and I think that as we grow into these humans, like our souls, whether past lives or whatever, like you were a sister to me.
Yeah.
And so what is so beautiful and so in tune with your Reclaim podcast is that, you can reclaim these relationships. They're not lost. Sometimes you outgrow people. Sometimes there's a falling out, and you always have to do what is best for your greatest good. And what you were doing exactly what was best for your greatest good, protecting yourself. And I see that for what it is. And I think that as we grow, if there's still that unfinished business, that it's okay to have those conversations, those healing conversations. And like, look at where we are now. Like, we're having a podcast. I'm like, maybe you should move down here. I don't know.
Say less. Say less. Drive the car, Cam. We're going to Mexico. Yeah.
Right. And so it doesn't, this is the beautiful thing about growth and acknowledgement and understanding. I avoided really hard conversations when I was younger because growing up, I was in an unsafe environment to have them. And it took a long time for me to recognize that. And often the less time that goes between misunderstandings or things that you're not happy about, like you should be able to go to your friends and have honest conversations that might be dangerous in other situations, right? But if you've got really good solid friends that have healed and gone through the work, and that's what I said to you, is like, what a beautiful thing that you've gone through this transformation, and I've gone through it. We've gone down our own paths of becoming who we're meant to be in that healing space. And you can't have a healed conversation with an unhealed person, but when you both do the hard work on the other side, then you can see it for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And so many of us were raised to, and you spoke to it a little bit, it's like we would see a fracture. Let's say there's a relationship, then there's a fracture, whatever that is. There's a fight, there's a blow up, there's a fracture. Not many of us have actually gotten to see what a healthy like evolution and like full coming to closure experiences. Not many of us really got to see that. I don't know that I really have seen that. I've seen fracture, blow up, holding resentment, and then there's like a different relationship. Sure, they'll stay in connection, but there's a different energy. Like there's not resistance, resentment, or just an edge. Whereas when you can come to full healthy closure and completion of the cycle, the relationship actually generally is stronger, bigger, and better.
Yeah.
And I really haven't seen that, or didn't get to see that until really like the last probably 4 or 5 years of my life. And I just think it's really important that more and more people maybe make themselves uncomfortable in order to do so. But we need to be having these fractured experiences have full closure so that the bonds get bigger and stronger, especially now. Like the world needs stronger connections now more than ever.
An honest conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like really honest conversation. And we're in a society where people seek to be offended, and there's this cancel culture, and it's not, people don't feel safe. And it really is important who you surround yourself with. I've learned that, and it's okay. Like I was saying, it's okay to outgrow people, but leave that door open, because we all go through these healing things, over time. And I remember, it coming back that, oh yeah, I ran into Kyla, and she still is really angry at you. And I said, you know what? I love her, and I hope that she finds the healing to close that, because it's what we realize in the end is it's how we react. The only person that we can control is ourselves and our reaction. Mm-hmm. And I just like, man, I sent you so much love over the years, because I'm like, one day, like maybe there's hope one day. And then I get a voice message from you after I had Isaac, and it meant so much to me.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yeah. So what are you doing these days living down in Mexico? Tell me about that. So were you and Ryan living in Victoria before?
So we had 5 years previous to moving here. We sold our house on Green Street, and we bought a 10-acre hobby farm in North Cowichan.
Oh my gosh.
So we have bought that farm. We raised Izzy with chickens and a garden and the owls outside and the deer. And Ryan cleared 2 acres of that because he left the bar industry then. So he
Yeah.
cleared 2 acres, planted 500 cider apple trees, and we were going to have
Oh
an
my
estate
gosh.
cidery. We were going to build an estate cidery out there because there's so many vineyards and
Yeah.
cideries. So I was like, let's do that because it was his background. But it's so interesting. Like as time goes on, I was like, like we don't drink like we were in our 20s anymore.
Hmm.
Do we really want this culture of drinking in our lives every day? Do
Hmm.
we really want people in our space? Like all of these
Hmm.
questions kind of started coming up. And we just kind of realized that this was not our forever home. Although I love that house. It had a cedar sauna in the basement. We had a hot tub on the
Oh my
deck. We got to
gosh.
see the stars. Like I loved that house, but it wasn't my forever home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so interestingly enough, how open can I be on your podcast?
So open.
Okay, great.
Wide open.
Because
Tell us your thoughts.
right. And because I do respect, different circumstances and different people's opinions. And so I'm going to say this, in a way that is just my personal experience. I don't expect anybody to see it our way. But for our personal experience, we were out there. I realized when COVID hit, I realized I was not good isolated. I'm like
Yeah.
you, I need to be around people.
Yeah.
And I was isolated on that farm and I didn't do very well out there. And then in 2021, we had been trying to have another baby. I have a daughter that's 9, and then my son now is 1. We had him here in Mexico. But I was trying to have another baby, and we didn't have any luck. And then 2021 came around, and I had 2 miscarriages back to back. And the first one, I was actually pregnant at the same time as my sister, and we were like 3 days apart from when we were supposed to give birth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was devastating. And it created this really weird dynamic with my sister because she felt bad for me and didn't know how to react. But I was happy for her, but I was also sad for me.
Oh, that's so layered.
Weird situation. And then you put COVID on top of it. Right. And so everybody was scared. There was so much fear. Ryan and I, we'd done a lot of research and we were listening to alternative news sources and we're like, this isn't as bad as they're saying it is. But now, we're in this rock and this hard place because I'm trying to have a baby and I'm not prepared to get this COVID vaccine. Like I'm not, and Ryan was having some issues with his lymph nodes and we're just like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
But again, remember being lonely on the farm, that like increased that by about a 10. Because now we're not allowed to go to restaurants. Now Ryan's not allowed to go to the gym with his brother who had moved 6 minutes away from us. Like now our community is fractured. That's a great word for it. It was fractured. And what we thought we had wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And it was really painful. And so we were maybe 2 months into the school year. Izzy started going to kindergarten. And as wild as that is, that I have a child that is now in grade 3, at 9, but she started going to kindergarten, and they had this is kind of a crazy story, but because of COVID, they were all wearing their masks and all this kind of stuff. And she's in French immersion, so she's trying to learn a new language, masked in kindergarten. All the kids are like uncomfortable. This is not cool, right?
Yeah.
So I'm already having issues with that. We can't go to any of the PTA meetings. It's kind of chaos. And she gets into my Jeep after school one day. I pick her up and she usually wants to play at the playground. But this day something was wrong. And I was like, what is it? She's like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And I was like, okay. So she gets in my Jeep and I look back at her and I was like, what happened today? Like we're not going anywhere until you tell me exactly what happened today. And I was also really concerned because I don't know if people know this, but the age of consent was absolutely abolished in the Emergency Act. And now we no longer have an age of consent. So if you send your child to school, they can decide medically what is deemed correct for your child. And so I was also not okay with that. Yeah. And so she looked at me and she said, there was a lady that came to school today, and it was Truth and Reconciliation Day. Okay. So they were talking about residential schools. They were talking, it was a native lady that came in, an Aboriginal lady that came in, and she was talking about what she went through, and she was taken from her school and she never got to see her parents again. But I was like, this is a school assembly for kids up to grade 8, and she's in kindergarten. So she doesn't have the concept that won't happen to her, that this was in the past. So this woman is in trauma, crying, talking about never seeing her parents after going to school. And now my daughter's in the back and she's like, Mom, like they take kids from school and we never get to see you again. And I was just like, oh my God, what? Like, what is I'm like, no, that's not true. It took me 2 weeks to convince her that she was going to be safe at school and that she could go back to school. And I just looked at Ryan. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to put my daughter in school. She could be raised as a little activist or whatever the hell they're teaching these kids these days. I keep getting messages that she needs to get vaccinated. And like, not that I didn't. By the way, I just want to have full disclosure here for a second. I did vaccinate the first child. And not all of them, but I did, because that's what I thought was good. That's what I trusted the medical system for, right? And so I was like, it's just this one that I don't want to be in this conversation. I don't want to do this at school. And so Ryan and I already weren't happy with school. I was going through postpartum depression on top of postpartum depression on top of the insanity of what that was. COVID.
What a time to be in postpartum anything. Even postpartum joy.
With a baby. I couldn't even imagine. Like, absolutely. Even postpartum joy. And now you've got fear of the world, right? So like, it was not okay. And I'm just, honestly, I'm so grateful. I had an incentive trip that was paid for to Mexico that we weren't going to take because Izzy was going to have to be out of school for 3 weeks. And so it was going to be like a month-long thing if we went for a week. So we weren't going to take it. And Ryan came into my room one morning and I was just like, and he goes, let's take that trip. Let's book it. Let's go. And he's like, let's go for 3 to 6 months. And I was like, what? He's like, you work online. He's like, we can rent the house out. We've got tenants here. We'll leave the dogs with them. They'll because they love our dogs, right? He's like, let's just go. Let's just take a break and go for 3 to 6 months and just like get a balcony view of our lives and figure out how we want to move forward. And I was like, you start the car. I'm like, what? I never thought in a million years that you would say that. But it felt right. It felt scary, but it felt right. So I was like, let's just do one thing at a time. And so we packed up the entire house. And this was, by the way, that was what triggered it. They were going to close the border to Canadians. You weren't allowed to fly out of the country unless you got vaccinated. And I was like, nope, not doing this. So
I remember that time.
We literally booked flights within 2 weeks and we left a day before they closed the country down. Wow. We packed up our entire house. We had everything in boxes in our storage room. We're like, are we going to rent it out? What are we going to, we had no idea, but we had also talked over the, year leading up to it, what we wanted our lives to look like, how we wanted to raise our kids. Like, I don't want to raise them in fear. I don't want to be in this environment. I want them to be kids and have nothing to worry about but being kids. Right.
Yeah.
So that's how it all came to be. And within, a couple of weeks, Ryan came to me and he's only done this twice in our relationship. He's really good at timing the market. And he said, we need to sell the house or we need to keep it for another 10 years. And I said, like, we need to sell the house like in 6 months or we need to sell the house right now. He's like, we need to sell the house right now. I'm like, okay. So we decided to sell the house within a week. We sold the house we listed it in January. We came down here October 28th of 2021. We sold the house in January. He went up and did a little bit of business just to finish things off and we stayed and we figured it out.
Okay. So you went 3 to 6 months and you literally just never went back.
Yeah. That's what happened.
I love that.
When I look at it now, and by the way, talking about fracturing relationships, it was not easy for our family, right? Like our family loved us. They were not on the same page as us at all, which was really difficult for us. But I finally realized we had to make this decision for us. We had to make this decision for Ryan and I, for our marriage, for our kids, for our family, for our future. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of upset words spoken. And we said, we understand. We love you. Again, the same, like, we got to have these hard conversations, but this is what we're going to do. And now, on the other side of it, our family comes to visit us. We come up in the summer. We continue having these amazing experiences together because we're intentional about our time. And people will come around, but it really helped Ryan and I realize we had been living our lives for everybody else. We'd been living our lives for everybody else. And as soon as we came here, I was like, wait a second. There's a whole new world out there that I didn't even know existed because I was too busy trying. And you think you're not a people pleaser, right? But it's ingrained in you. It's conditioned in you when it comes to family and the people around you, right? So yeah, we just didn't go back.
Pause with me for a moment. This episode is brought to you by The Rebirth. What if the version of you you've been trying to become isn't something you have to chase, but someone you already are, buried beneath old stories, identities, and energy that just doesn't fit anymore? This, my love, is your invitation to The Rebirth. This is a month-long guided journey into the sacred death of who you thought you had to be, so that the most radiant, powerful, turned on, alive version of you can rise. Inside this experience, we move through 3 potent phases. The death and the shedding, releasing what's no longer serving. The reclamation, where you remember who you truly are beneath it all. And the rebirth, where you meet the highest version of yourself and you activate her. This is deep feminine work. It's not about doing more. It's about being more. More embodied, more magnetic, more you. If you've been craving clarity, confidence, and a reconnection to your power and radiance, my girl, the rebirth is for you. We begin June. It's only $197. Come and take your throne. We are waiting for you. Link is in the show notes.
I love that so much. So much. Like there's a big part of me that kind of wishes I did that in that time. I didn't for various reasons, but
sure.
As you know, but
it's not easy.
No, I can imagine that piece of like living your life for everyone else that has been so loud and in my face for me in the last couple of years. And you and I were talking about this yesterday, where Cam and I are talking about like, how do we want life to look like? How do we want to live? Like, what do we actually want? And why are we staying in a place that feels like it's a struggle and like it's it feels like right now living on Vancouver Island that's where I live. I don't know if everyone in Canada feels this way, but I feel like we are hustling and working really hard just to like exist here.
Yeah.
And that's not living. Like that's just not living.
You're not set up to win there, and it was so interesting because my accountant, I had a really great accountant in Victoria. If you need it, I'll give a reference to him because he's amazing. But when we left, his sister left and went to Florida, actually Brian's ex-girlfriend. So like full circle, right? And so they thought that she was crazy for going to Florida,
of course.
Right? They thought that we were a little wild for going to Mexico. People still think, they're like, you're down there with the cartel? And I'm like, I'll take my chances with the cartel. Right? Because of my core values and my belief system. And I don't expect anybody else to have that. But this is how I truly want to live. And that accountant messaged me January of this year, and he said, you made the right choice. He said, Canada hates small business. He's like, he's like, they're burying them. The CRA is burying them. And there's new tax laws every single month. Like we had an extra $20,000 in taxes we had to pay when we left that we had no idea was going to hit us, because under all of these bills that they're putting in, there's all of these other things that people don't realize are happening to them right now, so that they don't have the freedom to leave, or they make it completely unaffordable for them to do so.
They totally do. It's so funny that you bring up the CRA. I mean, as we record this, it's tax time, but I have been on the phone with CRA all week.
Oh, don't do that.
I had to. You know what happened? Okay, I'm just going to say this because I just dealt with it this morning. I moved to this place and totally didn't change my address. Didn't know. The CRA has been mailing me for 2 years my GST owing, and I've just been in this like la 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 life, totally oblivious to the fact that I owed like anyway.
Whoopsie. Some money.
So that's done. That's done. But a really good friend of mine messaged me and she's like, you'll never guess what happened. And the CRA just like fully shut down her husband's account because he owed it a certain amount of GST, but there was no email, phone call, mail. There was no like, hey, by the way, this is owing. Here's your opportunity to pay. They just shut it. They just froze his account. They're on fire. At least like in the last week here, they're on it. And I don't know.
Dude,
it's wild. It's
well,
wild.
and that, so let's just say this too, because I remember watching the trucker convoy, and I was like, there's hope, right? There's Canadian spirit, there's hope. And then how they twisted that on the media and then retroactively froze bank accounts for people that donated that still don't have access to that. I'm like, do you guys like really understand what kind of country we're living in right now? Because it doesn't seem like it, or it happens very slowly and then all at once. But like, this is not normal in a free country.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's not.
It's
not.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it is the week of the CRA. Okay. So let's shift the energy because that feels yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Dust it off. What are you really stoked about these days? Like, what's lighting you up? What's lighting you up in business? What's lighting you up in your family life? What's here for you?
Man, right now, I think, people are starting to wake up to the fact that they are in a losing system, but also that they can reclaim their power, right? Like, I love that your podcast is named that, because you can absolutely reclaim your power. You don't need to be a victim of your circumstance. You are a victor of your life. And when I realized that there were so many people out there that were just unhappy, unfulfilled, no purpose, right? Like, we are living in a time where this generation is the most unhappy, disconnected, unfulfilled. They have no purpose. They're hopeless. And so for me, what lights me up is going out there and inspiring someone to do something different, inspiring them and saying, hey, actually, here's a plan, A, B, C, and D. Let's talk for half an hour and let me show you that you're not stuck. And here are your options. Now, is everyone going to go out and do that and have the courage to do that? No. But for the few that do, that's what lights me on fire. The people that I can truly help make a difference and like wake up to the fact that this is not something that you have to live with. Your discontent is not something you have to live with. So what do you want to do? And this is what I love about the point in your life that you're in. Like, where do we want to live? Where do we want to go? How do we want to proceed? What do we want to evolve? Because you found your magic, right? Like, you found the thing that you're like, oh my God, I should have been doing this the whole time. Like, this is who I am. This is how I help people. I'm the facilitator of this. It's a no-brainer for you. You wake up, you eat, sleep, and breathe this, right? Yeah. And so I help other people find that vision for themselves. And when I see that spark, when I see people transform their lives, the money's great, but I certainly love the transformation. That's what really, really lights my soul on fire. When I see people feel empowered, take action, and move through something they never thought they could achieve, and then come out the other side in this like bliss that you and I both know is possible, but so many don't believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it is so good when you can witness someone in that like aha moment. And I feel like it's probably, I don't have children, but you do. Is it similar to like seeing your child discover something for the first time? Is it kind of that same level of like,
that fulfillment, right? Like that, like that excitement, fulfillment, magic. It's the magic that's behind it. And what's so interesting with kids, is you get to see the inner workings out loud. Like, adults, we keep all of our quiet thoughts inside, or the ones that we keep inside. Kids don't. And so you see all of the inner workings, and they have no limitations. And my whole goal in raising kids is that they don't ever have those limitations, because there's this switch that goes off in us at some point that we feel that everything is too heavy to move through and find our dreams. Kids don't have that. They just like, every day is a new day. There's nothing to care about, nothing to worry about. And they just like, they dream so big. And I was saying to you, we moved down here to Mexico, and you trade one set of problems for another set of problems. But Now we have a child, like we don't have to go to inclusion and diversity training. She's in it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she learned a language so quickly because she was immersed in it and has friends in it. And
Yeah.
she also has this accepting, this understanding. And she was the immigrant kid. She was the blonde hair, blue eye kid in a sea of dark haired, tanned kids, right? You go to a school assembly, there's 400 kids, and there's Izzy in her blonde hair. She's the only
Oh.
one there in her blonde hair. And so, like, the kids would touch her hair and all these things. And it was such a precious understanding of humanity that
Mm-hmm.
she got to have in such a unique and organic way that
Mm-hmm.
now she's like, Mom, next, can we go to Italy? Can we live in Italy? And I'm like, I
Yep.
think that's a great idea. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get your brother speaking Spanish, and then we'll move to Italy, and then we'll and then we'll talk about Italian, right? Like, I think that
Yeah.
why not? Why don't we live like that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
crazy.
It is so crazy. I love that. And you were telling me yesterday what they're teaching Izzy in school in grade 3 and the information that she's coming home with. Like that is, well, I just don't know that our school system would ever actually open that dialogue up. It's just, yeah, it's really, really, really fascinating. So tell me a little bit about your work. Share what you want to share. Share a little bit about, yeah, how you do work with people and what that looks like. And are you, yeah, I'll just leave that there. Tell
Yeah,
us a little
no,
bit.
sure, sure. Yeah, no, you know what? Entrepreneurship is an evolution, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
for the last decade, I when I met you, I was doing hair. I had my own salon and on-site wedding business, and I loved that. And we actually, this was a really important point too, that we talked about yesterday, is that you get to this point that I couldn't, like, I would have people sit in my chair and I couldn't help them at the next level. Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't help them move through what they really needed to because I was just their hairstylist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually, when my daughter was born, I had a really bad shoulder injury and I couldn't continue doing hair. So I got into the network marketing space, but I didn't know it was network marketing, by the way. I just saw a girl I knew sitting on the beach with her kids making $20,000 a month. And I was like, I want that life. What have I done
Yeah.
wrong in my life to not live like that?
Yeah.
That's what I want. And so
Yeah.
I called her over to my house. I said, tell me what you're doing because I have no understanding of what this is, but I want to live your life. And she told me, and within a year, I was making that kind of money too. And I was able to bring my husband home and he was able to be a stay-at-home dad. And we've been able to create this very non-normal kind of life because we just play to our strengths. And so I did network marketing. I do network marketing. Um, I've been doing it for a decade and I love it. I've been one of those success stories, not the people that are like, it doesn't work. It's such a, I'm not that person. I'm the person that has like come out the other side and done very well. Um, but, but you get to a point, and I'm again going to be super transparent about that because if there's anybody else out there that's questioning this, you get to a point in your business that you have to have like you have to realize that there's a volunteer army there. So you can't push people. They like show up if they want to show up. You can't have the hard conversations. You can't coach them the way that you want to. So I actually teach people in sales. I teach them how to like do acts of service in sales and how to have the conversations without being spammy and gross and terrible and like actually truly care about people and offer
Yeah.
them something that they need. Learn how to position the offer, right? So I teach people that. And then I also have a 6-figure profit plan where I teach people how to scale their business to 6 figures. And now I'm looking at like a bigger piece of my life. I really love speaking on stages. I love empowering people to just take their life to the next level and how to take the trauma that they had before and use it for growth, right? Because I'm sure through your work you figured out, oh man, this is why I act this way because I'm triggered by these little things that have happened before. And when we actually are grown enough to, sorry for the noise in the background, I live in a construction zone.
Mexico.
It is what it is. But when you live in this place where you recognize that those little triggers are actually hints for growth,
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, wait a second, I'm feeling this way. Give me a second. Let me figure out why I feel this way. I can heal this now. And that's also another beautiful thing through kids is that you can heal those pieces of you through raising your children. So I'm looking at maybe doing something a little bit different, maybe some corporate training and maybe even helping other families maybe do what we're doing.
Love that. Love the evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It's
Stay
always,
tuned.
yeah. And like the world needs something different now. 10 years ago when I got into network marketing, you could throw a post up and everybody would buy.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure your email's inundated like mine is with people that are
Yeah.
trying to pitch you business and all that crap.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to build a brand. You have to learn how to serve what is needed right now. And that's why the evolution of business, you're constantly reinventing yourself to find a different way to posture your business for people that need it, or sometimes they don't even know that they need it. I bet that happens to you a lot. They don't even know that they need it. So you've got to figure out what's the offer that they think that they need so that I can give them what they actually need.
Exactly. What do they want? Because what do they want? I didn't know I needed this. Oh my God, like before I discovered this part of me, before I discovered breath work, trauma work, somatic work, I definitely had put myself on this pedestal of like, I've read all the self-help books, I've read all the Eckhart Tolle, I am enlightened and I am above you. Like I absolutely had that energy. It might not have come out on the outside, but I know I felt it. I definitely thought that because I'd read the books that I must know the thing, but I was keeping it here and I was never actually like integrating it into my life and taking action on it. It's just, yeah, I for sure was like, I don't need that, which is probably why I resisted breathwork for so long. But here we are now. And I'm like, oh, wow. Thank you. I really needed that.
Well, I don't think you're alone in that because, we've shifted in North America from religious values to spirituality, where you basically become your own God. And some people self-love their way out of self-awareness. I've seen that happen a lot. That like, no, it's my truth. Nobody else matters. I'm not saying that for you. But like, we think that we know what we know. We think that we know what we know. I would say that I probably wouldn't have had that epiphany about the work that I needed to do had I not had those bouts of mental health issues, because I was like, I've done personal development for 20 years. Like I business coach people. I've helped people make thousands of dollars. Like I know what I know. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh no, I got my ass handed to me.
Yeah.
I was not okay. Nobody is exempt from that. So we have to do the work, because if we don't do the work, you keep repeating the same patterns.
100%. And so like you, and if I remember correctly, and I think that I do, you were like this in your 20s. There was a drive in you. Like you have always been very driven and very like, I'm just going to get that because I want that. Where did that come from? Like, did you come out of the womb like that? Who taught this to you? How did this happen?
My dad. Yeah, totally. And by the way, my dad and I butted heads for years. He's totally a narcissist and I love him anyways. And it's true. And it's so funny because I learned to accept who he was. And once I didn't take offense from that, because nothing I ever did was good enough. I had this drive. And I used hard work as a badge of honor. Like I actually had tied my identity to it for a very long period of time. But now that I see it for what it is, and it was like this really interesting moment where my dad was talking about a coworker that was brand new, that was like a rookie. And he was talking about what an idiot this guy was, right? And he's like, this guy can't even do this or can't even do this. And I was like, well, did anyone show him how to do that? And he's like, no, he should know. And I'm like, he's a rookie. He like just coming into the career, like, no, you need to show him. And I had this like massive epiphany and I started howling, and Ryan's like, what got into you? And I was like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me that was never good enough. It's how he treats everybody. It was like, I thought it was me, right? That whole time. And so this drive to work. And also, when my parents got divorced, I was 18. And my dad said something to me, and he said, it doesn't matter what happens in life, who you marry, who you have kids with is really important, but who you marry, he's like, make sure you can always stand on your own 2 feet, because I'm not saying you're going to get divorced, but like that person could die and you're going to be on your own. And I was just at a really impressionable age, and I just had the fear of God on me. And I was like, I could be on my own. I could be on my own. I could be on my own. And I had this like, I'm unsafe. I'm not in control. That was like the shadow work that was going on behind my life, that I was not okay. Right. Yeah. And so it was this like evolution of, I will outwork anyone to be okay. Yeah. And I'll show you that. Right. Like I'll prove it to you. And it probably wasn't the healthiest thing. But but it got me where I am. So here we are.
Got you where you are. Well, and it got you where you were so that when you did need to take that time off to rate, like not needed to, but you have created a life that you could take time off. You could step back and raise your son the way you wanted to raise your son. Like you've created that because of that younger version of you. So what a gift. And yeah, that's exactly
it's
right.
always there. It's always, I have, what wolf do you feed?
Yeah, exactly. I just literally just read that story poem to someone the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So beautiful.
I'm so glad that we dropped in here. And
that
are they building your house or are they in the room with you?
It sounds like it. It sounds like it, and you would think so. But now they're rushing to finish the houses outside of us because so this is actually a funny story because you just said you've always kind of gotten what you wanted. We're like we're literally living in the middle of like multiple houses being built on the other side because I was like. I got to the owner of the developer and I was like, we are going to come meet you every single Friday until this house is done. We are going to meet you on site. I'm going to be the biggest pain in your ass until this is done.
Yeah.
Well, we're the only one that has a house. So, but it's amazing. It'll be great. It'll be fine. And we own it and we don't have a mortgage and I will just sit here with earplugs in for the rest of the day. Actually, I'm going to go to the beach and do some brainstorming.
Amazing. Okay. Well, I'm so glad that we're doing this. I'm so glad that you hopped on and more please. And yes, Mexico. And if I'm still here when you come back to the island, let's connect.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Thank you for having me, Kyla. What you were doing here is so important. Like what you were doing with your Reclaim podcast and giving people access to you and who you are and the life lessons that you've had. But also through your breath work and like really truly healing people, like not like think talk healing, but like from the soul healing. Everybody needs someone like you in their life.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Yeah. Where can people find you? Do you want to move in
next door?
Yeah. Well, is it sold already? What's the ETA?
I'm like, I can't believe it. It's so crazy. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Where can people find you? Where's the best place?
They can find me on social media at Christina Whiteley on Facebook, at the Christina Whiteley on on TikTok and Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn too. Gosh, I'm all over the place. Just search my name, Christina Whiteley with an extra E on the end. I don't know what's happening. But
do you manage all those accounts or do you have someone manage them for you?
I have help.
Okay, good. Yeah, good.
I can't. Yeah, and there's apps that you can use that'll repurpose all your content and whatnot. But yeah, I can't. You can't do it all. I've learned you can't do it all.
No, that's a lot. Oh, and on that topic, I wanted to like drop back into being a mom and being able to do it all. So maybe we'll just have to do this again.
Sure, that sounds great. We'll love that. Well, we're gonna hop over to my podcast now, so I'm super excited to have you there.
Likewise. I'll see you in just a jiffy.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye, love.
Bye.